Right.
Right.
Is it on record?
Everything's gone. You'd be surprised.
Your perspective of how the world is just a mad place. Blow each other face, blow the face out.
Bro, it's
I know,
mad out
it's a
there.
different
Yo,
world
wait,
out
you
there.
get the group shot.
I see man them, yeah.
You guys.
One more
There's
thing before we start.
ratings
One more
now.
thing.
No,
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Short Back and Sides, the Shape Up Show. It's been a long time coming, but we're back. We took a little hiatus, but you know how it goes with life and everything, but we're still here. Reflection on friendship, which is today's topic. How's the man them doing? Everyone good?
Good. Happy to be back.
Good. So in case you've forgotten who I am the ultimate Mr. Blake. And I'm joined by the Doc, Pleasure P, Trife, Millionaire Mike. And today we're talking about a very personal subject. Well, it's personal to me, and I'm sure it's personal to the lads as well. When friends become strangers. You know, we've all been in situations where we've had friends and our friendships have faded between them. You know, why has that happened? Like, what's gone on for it to get to that point? And you know how has it impacted us in terms of us as individuals and our friendships going forward with other people, and you know what has the aftermath looked like? And you know, this is something that we're gonna discuss today, this evening. Before I start, I wanted to drop some stats about what British people think about friendship. So there was a study after COVID that looked at about how Britons thought about friendship, and there's four takeaways. So the first one was 1 in 5 Britons, so that's 20%, say that they've become distant from close friends due to COVID. More men at 23% than women at 17% say their relationships with close friends weakened during this period. 4 in 10 Britons report losing contact with some of their friends since the COVID pandemic, while 26% say they will seek to regain contact with these friends. 14% say they will not. A third of Britons say that they value their friendship more than before the pandemic, with this being the case particularly for women. Yeah, no, we'll touch on. And then lastly, despite the lockdown, a third of Britons, which is 34%, say that they've made a new friend in the last year. So, guys, like, based on them stats, like, how are people surprised by those statistics at all?
Yes and no, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the new friend thing, I'm a bit surprised about that. We weren't getting out much and stuff like that. And, you know, if you're used to being in your own surroundings and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I think people pick up kind of like traits of just like turning into a bit, personally for me, I love lockdown, but I found it hard to interact with people afterwards the same as before, because I was just so used to like being in my own shell and just getting on with it and stuff like that. So I had conversations with quite a few people and they kind of felt the same. So the stat about people made new friends is a bit surprising to me. So it must have been some like online thing or something, I think.
It's funny you say that, bro, because like I'm more at work and you see people, you don't know whether to hug, shake hand, or fist bump, and it's a bit awkward. So that's where I've seen it. Like you, I kind of liked COVID in the sense of every day, watch a shitload of box sets, just kind of just navigated just the best way that I could, and I think that was a reflection of why my friendship with my best friend went left. But you know, we can come into that. So just staying on the whole friendship thing, they say that if you are friends with someone for more than 7 years, then it will last a lifetime. But clearly, we've seen that it hasn't happened with a lot of us on this call. So that being said, does anyone want to step up and say like they became strangers with someone that was once close with them at all? Open floor.
Well, I wanted to just touch on a couple of things really quickly before I tackle this topic. Just rewinding a little bit, there's a social entrepreneur called Gary Vaynerchuk who talked about the relationships, whether them being friendships or romantic ones, that social media and digital access will become the gateway to forming real life friendships. So I'm not overly too surprised at the statistics that you mentioned earlier, and I just wanted to put it out there because we now live in a digital age where much of our interaction is done socially via social apps. That statistic itself doesn't surprise me. But moving on to your current question, Mr. Blake, in relation to friendships lasting a lifetime. I mean, as you know, or as the audience probably don't know, but I've been friends with RW and Trap since I was in school. and that was decades ago. So I think from that point of view, that statistic itself is somewhat true as far as I'm concerned anyway, because we've
Yeah,
definitely lasted and went through that milestone of 7 year, which is that 7 year itch, I suppose, that most people talk about
yeah,
so I think we've managed to scratch it and get past it. But I would say though, he's not always been plain sailing, because I've had falling outs with both our clubs
yeah,
and yeah, those falling outs, man, they were, if I'm brutally honest, they did hurt me, because these are my bros as far as I'm concerned. We've
yeah,
known each other's families for a very long time, and I've always seen them as my guys. So, it was when we had a fallout, it was a difficult time, because I felt on my J's, really. Do you know what I'm saying? I felt
yeah,
my guys just let me down. I'm not saying it was, innocent in the falling out, but it did really shake me more than I anticipated, because you be friends with people, but you don't realize how much you care for them until you stop speaking to them, or until they do that you need to
yeah,
deal with. And I honestly felt that we weren't going to get past it, but thank God we did.
yeah. No, no,
Talked about
definitely.
that.
I can, yeah, I can definitely touch on that. Us falling out because we were so tight, man. Like the times we used to see each other like at least 6 times a week. Like we go raving together, we go food, we just do so much together. And then at the time when we fell out, it was just like, yeah, I felt alone, man. I was kind of like, it was around the same period of like my dad passed away, and then it was slightly after that, and so obviously you had your like, I'm not thinking about it kind of thing, and then like the morning kind of kicks in, and then so I've lost like Millionaire Mike and stuff like that. Stopped speaking to him for whatever reasons. It was really hard at that time, man. And then like I went through quite a lot of things, man. But um, good thing we had so rest in peace. Millionaire Mike had a cousin called Frankie, who I met.
Every time.
I met via we went on a stag together. We just clicked, man. We just proper clicked, and he invited us. We both went on a stag to another stag, his brother's stag in Berlin, and then we kind of buried the hatchet from there, man. But yeah, we did go through a few things which I'm sure we're going to touch on, because obviously it touches on kind of you, Mr. Blake, kind of your birthday and stuff like that.
Can I ask a question? Without, you don't need to go into detail, but like, what was it that managed to break up the friendship for that period of time? Like,
Okay,
you don't need to explain. Yeah, was it?
okay. From my point of view, someone had said something to me that basically people were talking about someone very close to me, and it told me some information I thought I should know, and then from there I just felt kind of a way in it, and then we did. Sorry,
Betrayed, like.
not portrayed as such, but I just thought I should. Everyone's kind of a little bit kind of thing. I felt, yeah, I did feel a little bit betrayed kind of thing, because it was kind of like everyone's talking about my back and never told me. But I don't think we had that conversation afterwards. It was kind of just like, it was done like on someone else's stag. It came out and everyone was drunk, and then we just never resolved it. It just went from 0 to 100 really quickly, kind of thing. Stopped speaking. Yeah, and then other events transpired after that. But we'll definitely go into that.
So from my point of view, I felt Trife could have just come to me and chat to me on the level like he did, because to give him credit, he was a bigger man in Berlin still. He took me to the side, like I was some chick, and he basically trying to speak to me. But to be honest, because I always had for T, and T's always been genuine still. He's never really been a kind of guy that that goes out of his way to show any malice or to show any ill intent. Like I said, I've known T for time. I've known his family for the time, so I know his character, and I know that we spend a lot of man hours together. So it was purely through that investment of being friends with T for so long that I gave him the respect to address me and to discuss the situation. And more importantly, rest in peace to Pro B's. Pro B's there was like, really want us to be, because he was friends with both D and T as well. You know what I'm saying? There was certainly a part of our ecosystem of friends essentially encompassed other relationships and other friendships. So it would have been awkward if me and T stopped talking. But to be fair, man, and at that time, I guess, it was a euphoric time. It was carnival. we were here to celebrate a friend of ours, you know, who actually probably his brothers. The best thing to do really is to celebrate moments like this and be joyful and be happy for the next man. And also being able to regain a friend in, you know, in an instant, we made more than just continuing beefing with tea, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we sorted it, man. And from there, really, I think, interestingly, friendship took a different turn because from that moment onwards, I knew Till was a real one. Like, I knew that whatever disagreement I had with T, however how bad it was, because what we went through was kind of mad still, but however bad it was, I genuinely believe that if me and T sit down and we reason, we will definitely reach, you know, a point of like, you know what, let's just settle it, let's just write, you know, land on the way. T was one of my ushers at my wedding, man. So, did you know what I'm saying? So he's not just any guy, you know, he's a brother that I wanted him to be part of my family. Like my kids know him through watching the wedding videos I put through sometimes, so they recognize who Uncle Terry is. Do you know what I mean? Even though he's an absent uncle, you know, he's still very much involved in my life, and my girls know that. So yeah, man, big up.
Yeah.
I want to just bring in RW because I know obviously you lot known each other from school days. You lot were thick as thieves. So what happened with you two? Why did you lot friendship just sort of break down, so to speak?
I'll let our adults speak.
Okay. The floor is yours.
Welcome, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, man. Sorry about that late entrance, man.
Black people timing, yeah.
I have to live up to the stereotype. Yeah, that's a deep one. Why do we stop talking? You know what? I think
I think it was around the same time, wasn't it? That everything went left.
If you can, don't name any names, bro, so we don't want to get sued yet.
Love it. Just as he's about to spill the beans.
Boy, he throws out. You have to come.
You say shut though.
That's the profile picture there, bro.
While he's still connecting, Doc and Pleasure P, have you been through similar things yourself where, you know, you've become strangers with someone that you was once tight with?
Yeah, I think for me, I grew up. My parents weren't sort of around very much and all that, so I had like one guy that I spent probably from like primary school up until like college years, in and out of each other's houses and all that. And then we just became distant. Like I moved out from the ends, moved in with my then girlfriend at the time, and I don't know. I don't think he liked it. Like I've always been someone that floats in and out of life. Like you guys have probably got that from me. I'm quite easygoing. I don't really read into things so much, but like I chase what I want to chase, if that makes sense. And whoever's kind of like in and around that journey, that's cool. Whoever don't want to be a part of that journey, that's cool as well. So I kind of, I just kind of got on with my life. Basically, I wanted to pursue like career and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just, I remember he must have come to the flat. I've still got one friend, like from back in the day, like from that same time. Me and him still talk every day. Try if you've even, I think you even met him or something. I can't remember, but
yeah.
my friend Theo.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. No face, no face.
So like,
Yeah,
so like me and that guy opposite, chalk and cheese, but he's been there since day one. Me and this guy that we lost contact with were actually more similar and everything. But yeah, we just broke apart. He's done really well in life. He's got on to like do Hollywood productions and all this. So he chased his dream in the end too, which is good.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, we just fell out. And like, I'm the kind of person, like, if somebody leaves an imprint or something, I'll make the effort every couple of years because, like, my phone number hasn't changed. I've literally had the same phone number since the age of like 15 or whatever it was. So I don't, do you know what I mean? If I don't remove anyone from my life or anything like that, I'm always available, sort of thing. If you got my number, you got my number. But yeah, that's the one that stands out. I think I've never really had many friends as such. It's very rare because I think it depends on how you define friendship in the first instance. So that might be why. Sorry?
How do you define?
For me, I think it's almost like a relationship. Yeah, it's about reciprocation. So like the effort that I put in, it doesn't have to be the same or whatever. But like, I'd expect if you're a friend or something, that person is there to a degree. Not unreasonable, not like, you know, I call you up at 2 a.m., I expect you to come or anything like that. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But someone that, like, at least they understand a bit of you, you can be yourself, etc. So like that guy, like I say, we're complete opposites. Like that guy every single day, even if it's like a stupid meme or something, there's contact like every day. And it's
Yeah.
basic. Or like, you know, I'll use Terry as an example. Like we didn't speak for a couple of years before you sort of mentioned this thing to me or whatever. Me and him have that vibe. Like he knows me to a degree. In the workplace, he knew me more than anyone really. So like someone that I could share stuff with, but at the same time, like you have to have that click. Like I'll use you, Doc, as an example. The minute we like met, it was just like instant. Like I don't know, and it's like I don't come across that kind of interaction frequently. So I think there's different parameters.
I think yeah, I've touched a lot on what Pete was saying. Friendship, like all relationships, I feel like they have to enrich your life in some way. It's reciprocal. It bounces in both directions. Relationship, friendship, they all they usually in like one of three places for me. They're either inflationary, deflationary, or they're stagnant. What my personal thinking and why many people drift apart is because they're on different parts of that friendship scale. They're either one is on inflation and others on deflation or stagnation.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to continue a friendship when there are those the paradox that difference between the two. If you're really, you know, thinking about or something, you know, is live, you know, in a dark place, it can be difficult to be around a person who is negative and who's not trying to see different opportunities. You're like, yeah, see this opportunity, there's a window. I think I agree with. Well, I don't have like friends if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
I think that is a couple reasons. I think a big reason is I don't like people. I don't even like you that much. No,
I totally agree with that, brother.
no, you know what it is? Is I think what I found myself in my life is come from a place I don't fit into any exact box.
Yeah.
When you don't fit into an exact box, you kind of you're in everything but belong to nothing.
Your floater, basically.
Sounds like he's mixed.
But then, Doc, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like an outsider because of that stance? Because I know I have.
Yeah. I agree. I think always. I feel like I'm always in a state of feeling like an outsider.
Mhm, mhm.
Like I maybe get on the periphery of a circle, but I know my personality and kind of the things that I've been through and where I've come from. That it'll be very difficult for me to step in to any circle and be like, this defines me perfectly. So I
Yeah.
find out a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah.
One
But
thing,
saying that though, like as you grow older, you don't really want to be seen. I'm not the bad way, but if you're really on your on job, you ain't gonna see your friends every week or like every
yeah, I
month.
was gonna say,
You may
Yes.
have like a tech conversation or something like that, but if you're really doing your thing, then your friend should understand that and just kind of like we'll meet up wherever we meet up. If it's 6 months, a year, kind of wherever. Like you use me, you and Doc. We've been 10 years without talking before, and then we're just like, what are you doing? Let's link up, and we've had the best time kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's
pick up like
yeah.
And I think that's a principle again of like whether you're on an inflation, deflation, and stagnation. I think it takes that same mindset to understand that exactly what you said. If you're on job, if you're like sticking to game, you got stuff to do, you got growth. And I'm
Yeah.
afraid that often means you can't, maybe at certain points in time put that same investment. And I think if someone's on a different tangent, they may struggle to be able to put that together and say,
Yeah.
yo, has this door not really investing me? I'm here looking really chilling in my boxes and trying to catch with
Yeah.
my brethren, and he's not
No.
picking up.
Yeah, but
I
it's that
totally.
it's that old adage, though, isn't it? Friends for a season, friends for a reason, friends for a lifetime. Yes, I'm saying, and I think as we get older, we are seeing that more and more. So that being said, now that you're back RW, let's bring it back to you. Why do you think you and Millionaire Mike drifted apart all them years ago?
It's a good question. I think that we were very, very, very close. We started our friendship back in high school. Frenchie was Frenchie when Frenchie was French. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Proper.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's when French was. His mannerisms just made him really unique. We'd never seen really anyone like French when he came to school, you know. But even then, we didn't really talk that much. I knew of him. I didn't really speak to him. It was only until maybe like near the end of high school, college. So yeah, we were really close. But I think when I dropped off, I had a few moments to think about the answer. And
Yeah, I was gonna say he had this.
it was a dramatic pause, and it was funny because the computer was saying reconnecting, and that made me think about the actual whole thing about friendships, and I think there's a phrase, not to get too biblical, but there's a phrase about being careful about using harsh words, and we would always, as you guys know, we're always back and forth. But I think, do you know what I mean? We're always doing it. But I think there was a period where there were underlying issues, and the banter moved away from banter and just became more just digs. And I think that that just got to a point where neither of us wanted to be around, that atmosphere or create that atmosphere, because that was just what was happening.
Yeah.
And then there was just a mass of time. We just didn't really connect or communicate. I knew, bits and pieces about what was going on. Then he reached out, obviously, when he was getting married. And that was really the point at which we started to really talk again. And that was good few years ago now. But that's kind of how I've looked at it. And we've spoken about things, from time to time. But for me, it goes back to the thing about friendship, especially with men, Yeah, you can go through things, but then, especially as you get older, you put things aside and you really start to focus on the things that really matter.
Yeah.
You
Career
know,
wise, yeah.
career, just personal time, because I haven't got much time. So personal time with people, just banter, just being able to banter with someone that's on your same wavelength, that's so valuable. I was thinking to myself, when was the last time any of you guys made new friends? Do you know what I mean? Like new friends?
Not for a
It's
long.
just, do you know what I mean? But because as you get older, especially, see, when it's school, someone's your friend just because they're like you. The older you get, the more you begin to question, why does this person, what's their interest, what do they want? You get a certain slight cynical edge. So the older friends are the ones, and those older friendships, as I've gotten older, I've realized those are the ones you really need to protect and value. And friendship is something that needs to be protected and fostered. But as men, we're different. As you say, TW, we don't have to talk every day. You know what I mean? Time can pass, and then there's just a message, and you just back into the. Do you know what I mean? Whatever you were saying, whatever you were doing, and that's part of the joy of it. But yeah, so that's kind of my take on it. I mean, I don't know, maybe Millionaire Mike has a different on things.
No, thanks for sharing it, Aldo. I think you touched on all the very salient points in terms of how we drifted apart. I mean, if I'm brutally honest, I was a bit of a sellout when it comes to some of my brothers, because I think when me and Aldo used to talk for hours. Like, we used to link up all the time. We used to talk about films, books. I've seen his transition really from joking around and taking life seriously, and I really admired that. And he started, this very articulate version that you see today. I remember when he couldn't string any sentences together, man, and just was talking bare road stuff. But then there was
He's not joking, he's not joking.
Yeah, but there was one time the penny with him started to drop a lot quicker. And I remember he was telling me that he wanted to become a film director back in the day. And from the moment he made a decision to better himself, to become a bit more focused in life, he started to take things a lot more seriously. Started to to concentrate on his education more, and I saw him really taking life a bit more seriously, whereas I was just on the girl flicks. And I think at the time I had a couple of girls as well that to be fair, he was warning me about, because I remember we were doing business studies together, and he flunked the first year, but the second year he was on job. And I remember he was telling me, like, French, man, you need to start studying, man. Like, you chasing the girl, it's not going to do you anything in life. And I was like, what's this guy talking about, bro? You just jealous because I'm getting some, you know? But he wasn't
Yeah.
about that. He wasn't even about that. That he genuinely wanted better for me because he knew what kind of people we were. Do you know what I'm saying? He understood that, look, we came here to study. Even though the choice of college we went to because we saw bad girls and we were like, yeah, that's where we going.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
what
we went in trips, didn't we? We did.
yeah, we just wanted, yeah. But we stopped, but he stopped and he started to become a bit more focused. And I admired that. If I'm brutally honest, I think where we stopped essentially being good friends is obviously I made some new friends along the way, through circumstances, through work, etc. And I was spending more time with T, spending more time with other people within our circle. And primarily because we worked at Laborex for such a long time, me and T, we made friends there. It was a young, youthful environment, and we would spend hours working in shifts. And eventually,
Ladies, yeah.
we set up a new, group of friends. And so instead of me focusing on my old school brethren, I was developing new relationships, and I think some of which became detrimental. And I think it was through that, really, that, Aldous
Yeah.
carried on doing what he was doing. He was focused on developing his career and becoming a better person. And I just went my separate way. And it was, as he said, when I got married, I reached out, and I wanted him to be part of my wedding celebration. But I want to say this publicly, though, and I've said this to our adults as well, our studio cameras and that, but if I have a few regrets in my life, but I think the main regret, I wish I made our dogs my best man. Because to be fair, he's known me from one day. Do you know what I'm saying? He's the guy that really should have been by my side, as it is today. You know what I'm saying? All these years ago, despite our ups and downs, Matt's away, and I still reckon that when we old and grey, he'll still be somewhere around my life in some capacity. Him and
Old
T.
and grey out.
Yeah, that for real. Well, I'm not gonna let the audience know I use that little dieting still, but
Just for men.
yeah, it's just for men. But yeah, so I'll dance, man. I want to say for Amanda, man, I should have made you best man still, because you always been the best man. Always have been that guy from day one, and you've helped me a lot in my life and in my development, man. So yeah, but look, we're here now, and I'm still good pals with T and our dub. So yeah, I think that's a testament to our character as men.
Yes.
Also, our character as black men, because I've seen T do really well in life. I've never envied T or anything like. I've seen T when he pushed his TT. He was the first man on the inner ends to bust
Yeah,
TT to
it
move
was.
out the ends. Do you know what I'm saying? T went working early, was making paper from day. Do you know what I'm saying? Our doctors as well doing well in his life. And for me, I've never been envious of my boys. I've always been happy for them because good fortune and their development is what really spurred me to become the man I've become. So thank you both, man.
Yeah,
And
no
you know what?
worries, man.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think you're right. It is a testament to you lot as characters in the fact that, you went through these things. A couple of years later, you're able to turn it around. But unfortunately, that's not the case for everybody. And for me, that has been the case. I haven't been able to
Yeah.
turn it around with a certain man that was once in my life. And I'll be honest, I'll say it straight. It still buns me to this day. So with me and my old best friend, we were brethren from 1994. And as
Right.
friends, as friends do, you have your ups and downs and stuff like that. But I do feel like COVID was a turning point for a lot of people, and that was a turning point for our friendship. And I remember with the lead up to COVID, you could see there was a little tension between us, and man were doing certain things that you're just thinking, why is a man moving like that? And then I think the turning point was when my first son was born, and we were looking to christen him up in Birmingham because that's where my kid's mum is from. And I asked him, regardless of what's happened with us, are you still open to being a godparent? And I remember he said, yeah, and and I was happy. I was happy, like I was the best man to his wedding. He's now the godparent to my child. But then, as I said, as COVID went on, I think he was going through certain things. I've never been privy to know what was going on, but I remember the start of, I think, was it 21 or 22? I noticed that he had blocked me on WhatsApp and on all social
Right.
media, and I was just like, "What's going on?" So I sent him an email to say, "What's going on?" And then the email that I got back was very formal, very cold, and I just didn't recognize the person who had emailed me, to be
Mhm.
honest. This was not the guy that I'd been bridging from since 1994. So as time has passed and stuff like that, I thought, come, let's try and sort this out. I tried to be the bigger person, and I remember one day I called him, and he was shocked to hear my voice. I just said, what's going on? What happened? And if I'm honest, guys, I weren't really feeling the reasons they put forward. I appreciate people going through things, but I don't know, man. I even said to him, look, man, if you are on being a godparent to my child, say so, innit? We're boys, innit? I wouldn't take I'd respect you more if you said, Kieran, in the light of how things have been with us, I don't think this is something, because lads, I'll tell you straight, being a godparent is a big thing, and I think people don't realize the gravity of it. And that's why
Mm.
I remember mom saying to me, you have to be careful who you make as a godparent to your child, because essentially, if you drop down dead or something happens, they're there to pick up the pieces. They're there to support your children. So I think the myth. So when I questioned him on that, and he was like, "No, no, it's not like that." And then, I told him, look, I'm having another child. And it's mad because he doesn't know my second child. He doesn't really know my first child, who's supposed to be his godparent. And that
Yeah.
really upset me. It really upset me because I just thought, you know what? I played you as a godfather because I felt not only did you bring value to my life, but you would bring value to my eldest child's life as well. And you could see that there was a love between them. So again, time went by. I always thought it was quite interesting that mutual friends that we had never said, come, let's get you lot together to try and sort things out. And I think that was quite telling. I do. And then
Why do you
I
think?
think
Sorry. Why do you think that was?
Do you know what? Yeah, if I'm brutally honest, I just think it was just a case of we just had a different outlook on life. If I'm honest, and therefore the
Yeah.
brethren, the mutual friends, I think they saw that, and I think they were just kind
Mhm.
of, you know what? If it's done, it's done. Just leave it. Sometimes you've got to let it go. And I'll be honest, like there's been times I've found it hard to let go of certain relationships, whether it's been friendships or relationships as well. And then I remember I wrote and just said, look, man, I know times I have been the best of friends. I have been the best friend that you maybe wanted me to be, and I put my hand up, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I rate you for coming on there and saying, you should have made RW your best man, because I think it takes a lot for a man to put up his hand and say, you know what, I messed up. This is me admitting that. Please recognize that. And obviously, there was no response to the letter, which is a response in itself. But I think the thing
Yeah.
that really, really got to me was in March this year. It was a massive milestone in his anniversary in his family, and I called him, and the first thing he did was cry when he heard my voice, and I was just, whoa, like, you're just thinking, I've called you on a big man thing,
Yeah.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
called you from the depths of my heart because I recognize what period of the year that is, and we didn't talk. The conversation was done within 2 minutes, and I'll be honest with you, I felt like a fucking idiot. I really did, in
Yeah.
the sense of, like, I put myself out there to show you and your family love, and that's how you came to me. And I just, from that, I was just like, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta just let things go. You just gotta let it go.
Yeah.
You know what? Do you think? I don't know the ins and outs. Life is like seasons, like Grey's Anatomy. You all go through seasons. So
Mm,
it's like 20 episodes in a season. Through those seasons, you often get involved in relationships that at the time are beneficial to
Correct.
you because that's where you're at. For
Yeah.
example, and some of those relationships they just aren't positive. Let's be real. Some of them can be toxic because in that place and in that time, your headspace, it might be the fact that let me talk about like homosexuals. It might be the fact that you're in. I'm talking about you're in a relationship with a woman that you don't have a place to live, but
mm,
you know you'll find a woman, spit game on her, and that relationship will work because that woman will think, well, I can control this man.
Yeah.
Will say, but it's cool, I've got a house. But if he was on game being who he should be, that relationship wouldn't work. But in that season, it works.
mm.
And I think this is what we find ourselves in as we grow in life. We're in different phases and different places, and at certain times we connect and we're like, boom, we're mutual. Sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's positive, and sometimes it's just stagnant. Do you think that your relationship with this one at that point in time was any of those? Do you think you were both just you met up at the right then diverged?
Yeah, looking back on that now, if I look at certain incidents that happened in our friendship, I think it was clearly what you've just said there. I don't want to sort of throw a man under the bus on, I always try to be respectful. I do think there was a bit of mental health involved in that, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's an excuse, but
Mm.
I'm aware of it. I've heard certain things, but obviously it's not gospel until I hear it from the other person's mouth, innit? But yeah, maybe it was a case. I do think we'd outgrown each other over the years, but clearly there was something why we kept on coming back together. But I just think that last convo, man. Sometimes, like,
Yeah,
trust
but
me, I've really was stuck. When I mean, I just felt tried. I really, 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 really tried to like try and make that friendship bring it back on track, and and it just, yeah, it wasn't reciprocated at all. And I think, yeah, maybe it's my ego and pride that's wounded as well, but ultimately, as you lot were saying before, it's a loss, in it. I'm mourning a friendship that I've
Yeah.
had from 1994. And when you hear stories about raw, like a man didn't get invited to a wedding, or a man didn't know
Mm.
about his kids, that's how it is now. So it makes you wonder, like, if we saw each other on road, like, would it be a thing we just look at each other, just walk past each other, and you're just thinking, rotted, I was your best man, like, you as a godparent to my child, you know what I mean? It's all them sort of things, So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
you,
appreciate it. Doesn't always get.
I was going to say, you
Sorry.
said an important thing there, which was it's almost like grieving. You know,
Yeah,
it is a
Yeah.
loss. It is a loss, but
yeah,
Mm.
you reached out and you did everything you could do. That's what you
Yeah.
have to take away from that. And from when a man is blocking you on all social media,
yeah.
I've never even heard of a guy moving like that. There's
Why
a lot.
doing that?
I mean, that's who's got time, and
I
that
thought it was
says,
a
I think
bitch
that
move.
says a lot. That says a lot in terms of
Kilo,
someone. I don't think it isn't so much about the communication bit. It's someone seeing you. Do you know what I mean? Because
What do you mean by that? Someone seeing you must rub them in
yeah,
a negative way. For them
yeah,
to
Well,
say,
yeah.
take energy to block.
All
You
the
know,
ch-
it's yeah.
okay. Kilo, can I pose a question? Do you think there might have been a element of jealousy and envy in the sense that you were essentially, you were producing successful offspring, you found a woman to court and to mate with, and perhaps your brethren wasn't either in a happy relationship or wasn't able to achieve those milestones that you set for yourself? Do you think anything of the sort might have had a role to play with this distance between the two of you?
I think that's a great question, Mike, because he was one of the first men them to get married. He was one of the first to have a child. You know what I mean? He was making movements. So when I hear that, and it's funny because we've got a mutual friend who's a woman, and she said, "Look, I think he was jealous and envious to you from what day?" And I'm just like, "Why me? Jealous of me? What? I'm just trying to navigate." So I find it kind of acknowledge that a man is jealous or envy of me because I'm just me. I'm just
trying to move on.
Mm.
Yeah.
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 mm,
One of the things that when we did the gym episode, you was talking about the journey that you've been on. Obviously, I only know you for the last 12 months, but obviously you were mentioning that you'd gone on a journey of like weight loss and
yeah,
stuff like that. And I found like with the guy that we don't talk anymore. It was very much like as I started coming into my own and sort of like really sort of getting things together, etc., that then that distance grew apart. And a lot of people said the same thing to me, like, is it jealousy or whatever? And I think when you make your friendships, it goes back to that thing. I look at it as a collective growth mindset or something, as the
Yeah.
people that I want to be around today. So I try to put myself in a space where people, whether they talk to me directly or not, push me to do more or do
Yeah.
better.
Mm.
But I think sometimes that if you move away from that, if you're deviating from that, so like, I'll take me and my friend because it sounds very similar. albeit we were younger. It felt like I was very clear and determined on what I was doing, and the actions were starting to pay off. And therefore, for that person, they couldn't recognize me as the person that they knew. Inside, I'd be like, I didn't change.
It's a big thing. We just said,
Yeah. And so if someone can't process the image of you that they had and that they were comfortable with,
yeah,
settled with, I think it becomes very difficult then, because you're like, wait, hold on a minute. And it's almost like self-preservation. That's what I think sometimes.
yeah,
Because it's like, I can save face here, because you know what? If I back out now, then that's the thing.
There's something
On-
to
on-
add to that,
on that-
Oppie, right? Very,
Yeah.
very quickly. And I think
Yeah.
that's from my point of view. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I'm friends with people that have something that I like in them that I wish I had for myself. So, to give you an example, so me and our dogs, right, got on with like a house on fire. But one thing I liked about our dogs is I liked the way he looked at life and he saw things, the perspective that he had, and the way he was able to articulate them. I still love that to this day. You know, if I chat to him about something, he's got perspective on life. I'm like, well, I never thought about it that way. You know, T as well. T is very ambitious. You know, in his line of work, he's had bad jobs, not for bad reasons, but because he's always looking for the next step. So, you know, he shows me like, you know what, man, you got to look after yourself. You can't just be somewhere at work because, you know, you can't be too comfortable. You got to go out and get what's yours. So these are certain qualities I recognize in my brethren that I don't necessarily have for myself. He's not anything. It's like, wow, you got an aspect of a character that I find exciting and find interesting. Therefore, if I get close to you, maybe that kind of mindset might rub off a man, so that I can get better. So effectively, we're making each other better. Hopefully, that's the aim of the friendship. I've never looked at a man wishing that I had his life, and I was, you know, to the point where it becomes toxic, where I wish him bad or anything like that. That's always been the driver for me. The driver's always been, you've got something there's something in you that I really admire, that I really like, and I don't have that, and I wish I could have a bit of an answer to that, because that might be. It might sound a bit selfish, but generally, as you said earlier, you know, P, it's about relationship, really, isn't it? So you have a relationship with people that, you know, because you admire their qualities that you don't necessarily recognize in yourself, you know. And I think in Kilo's case, it could have been a thing where my man liked Kilo for the qualities that he had, but probably was never enough with him, was never honest enough with himself to say, yo, you know, what, Blakey, that thing you do, you do it effortlessly. We see me, I've got to do mad gymnastics and you know, and pirouettes and that just to get to an ounce of what you get to. Can you teach me? Because, you know, as a man, he shows vulnerability. He shows that I'm not nowhere near as adequate as you are in this line of work or in this line of life, you know. And not every man is humble enough or possess the humility to put hands up and say, yo, you know, I need help, or can you teach me how to do X and Y?
Yeah.
See,
Let me pick up on something that P said. Sorry. For me personally, in the last year or so, I've kind of gone on like a kind of like health journey and stuff like that. Like given up a few things that were bad for me and stuff like that. And I've noticed I had a few friends that they're used to me being a certain way, and I just don't have that same kind of friendship with them as I did, like, say, a year, 2 years ago. And so I've had to let go of a few people that I thought were genuine friends, because they're just on a different thing to me now and stuff like that. So I kind of get that, as in, you change as a person, innit? And then as the podcast title is, they become strangers, because you've obviously enhanced yourself and not on that same level as them anymore, kind of thing. And so for me, definitely last year or so, I've noticed my friendships kind of with different people have changed. But for me, that's good though, because obviously we've got more time to concentrate on the people that are there for me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Vice versa. True, people should kind of come out when you change, I think, for sure.
and to what Pete was saying, I think, and this is another reason that goes back to why I don't think I have any friends. I think the world we live in is a very, very soft world.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of people rather be placated in hell, you know, a stressless, peaceful life. Like, people would rather hear, I'm doing fantastic and you look great and everything around you is beautiful, than be told, honestly, bro, I'm watching what you're doing and, you know, it's going to end this way, you know, or if you don't
Fix
stop
up.
drinking that much, you're gonna get, liver disease. You don't, you know, start getting involved, bro. You're gonna be 50 with no pension, no house, no nothing. Lots of people just don't want to hear the facts. They'd rather be in a circle of people that just placate them and stay. And I find for my personality, I can't be around that kind of person because I want to grow and I want you to be able to look, Donny, should X, Y, Z. And that gives me a chance to be respected. I don't want to be pampered to or catered to if I'm not on game, if I'm not on job. I want my boys to tell me,
Yeah.
I think, and I want to be able to do that back. I can't be in a circle of people where I can say to you, Donny, X, Y, and Z. You don't take offense from it. You just know I want better for you.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
that's as far as a relationship would be, that we all grow together. If you take offense from that, I'm like, so when I'm around you now, I have to kind of keep my lips sealed and think how I say it. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, now have old friends, no new friends.
Yeah.
There's
Exactly that.
there's a phrase, if you can count your true friends on one hand, you're a rich man, right? And it speaks to that. And you're right, most people they don't really want to know the truth, right? They
Yeah.
don't really. I mean, we would say it, but you don't really want to. You know what I mean? Want to hear it? I don't want to actually. It's like you're saying, "Oh, how was your day?" All I want to hear is, "Yeah, I'm good. I've got things to do." Right? I don't actually want to hear it. Like I'm going through this. I'm going through. I want to hear that. But your true friends, you don't even. You could say, "Yeah, I'm fine," and just your tone,
they will
right?
pick
The
up.
tone, they pick up something wrong. There's a quote. The best mirror is an old friend, right? That
Yep.
is so true because it's your old friends that will love you enough to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
The
No,
truth
definitely. Totally
is a
agree with
difficult thing. But going back to, I think one of the points that Mike was making, which was the reason as to why he has the people around them that he has them, that actually isn't the motivation for every person. I've come to that conclusion that actually not everyone is like that. That's actually a humble, well-adjusted, loving person that does that. You do get the opposite.
Yeah.
You get people that want people around them that they can feel better than,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
they like it. They like it. And the moment you
100%.
step out of that thing that makes them more over you, they're not. No, it's a different
Friendship.
person. It's a different. It's like it's like the analogy you made, Doctor, about the homosexual, right? The woman is happy with that guy as long as he's got no home, right? It's fine, and she can control him. Jump, right? But the moment he gets back in his feet, it's a different dynamics changed. And I think a lot of, as
Yeah.
I've gotten older, I've realized you've got to sniff out those that just want to be around you for a particular thing or want to position you into a corner and say, that's what you are. That's what you do. You do that, because you get people like that. You do. And they are parasitic. I go as far as saying that they feed off other people like vampires.
Yeah. 100%.
It's so funny that you say that, RW, because it's I think this is a great segue for something that me, Mike, and Trump want to talk about, especially his birthday. Now, that birthday was an infamous birthday because it was a joint 30th. But for me, what I took from it is I was mashed up and drunk at the end of my 30th, and I had no friends to take me home. And it was quite
Wow.
sobering. Yeah, it was quite sobering effect to know it was my link. My link took me to my mum's yard there. And it made me think, oh, have I not got one brethren or one friend that said, yo, Kieran's a bit mashed up. Let me just hold back.
Did
And it just
everyone
made me
come?
think, yes,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
great. Right?
Of course he's dread. Of course he's dread. And it was that it goes back to what Wayne was saying and what RW's touched on, that realization, isn't it? Like some people are just not for you. And it's a sober reality when you're thinking, right, I've probably given you certain things, shown you certain sides of you, and this is another thing that I don't think everyone should be privy to certain things of you. I don't think everyone's deserving, And obviously
Yeah.
just got, you know, I was 30 at the time, but it was just kind of like, oh, you know, everyone's my friend, everyone will have my best interests at heart. But as we know, it doesn't work like that. But, you know, like I said, that
Yeah,
30 was infamous because it was also a reflection of there are just some friendships you can't come back from. And I think, you know, Trife, Millionaire Mike, is that fair to say? With certain man,
yeah,
maybe with
yeah,
them,
yeah.
Yeah.
Could have gone birthday. Could have gone left. I've all like because me and Millionaire might be in a situation where we're literally seconds away from blows. Like literally, like sleeves rolled up and like punches about to be thrown.
Mike,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
oh, really?
literally,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. 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 He got
So
heated, man.
it
We
got
we we
heated. So
we're
yeah,
literally
so
we squaring up. Me and T are squaring up. Like, all right, you throw the
yeah,
first punch and see what I go on, baby.
yeah.
It was
And
one of
then do you
them
know
ones.
what? It's just like the realizations. Like I know this guy. Like I love this guy. This guy's my brethren, innit? I couldn't do it, innit? And then something else got my millionaire's Mike's attention, and then it just went left, man.
Very late.
And I just want to
Horrible.
say, on my behalf, for anything I contribute towards that, I'm truly and deeply sorry, Kilo. You know, it weren't meant to go that way. But, you know, in the heat of the moment, things happen, man. And that's what happens, though. Like, if you have a birthday and you invite different sets of people that don't get on,
Mm.
it's just not a good idea. So if you have a
yeah,
birthday, make sure that no one's beefing, because when drink gets involved and people like to spit, things will kick off, basically.
I agree with you, T, because I think some of the people that came down to the thing didn't come for kilo, innit? They just came for a rave. They came for self gratification, not to come and celebrate Kilo's 30th. And I think
Yeah,
and I think that in itself, I think that's what even stopped us from actually fighting each other. Because I remember you said, "Come on, friends, man, like, you know, what are we doing? Like, are we really gonna go there?" And I remember we had a little chat, and that kind of helped diffuse the situation between me and you. But it would have been really a sad time if we'd traded blows, because I'm not sure whether we could have even been brethren, because for the time a man
yeah,
puts his hands on me, to me that's a
yeah.
wrap.
That's
Like that,
It's different, yeah.
Yeah.
It crossed
only
the
my
line.
dad
It
beat
crossed
me
the
up,
line.
man. Yeah,
what I'm saying.
it's a
There's
line,
no coming back
you
from
know.
that.
That's the ultimate disrespect, really. Especially
Yeah,
as someone that you've known for
yeah.
time tries to fight you, wants to fight you. That's like, no, that's long. Over what as well? Do you know what I mean? That would have been an absolute disaster. But yeah, Kilos, I'm terribly sorry, but I think there were some outside influences that caused
Of course,
this
of course, of course.
this growth misunderstanding that shouldn't have happened in the first instance.
Nah,
Yeah.
boys, like I said, innit, like it takes real accountability for man to say, you know what, a man was wrong and this, that, and other. And like I say, it was 11 years ago, so it's under the bridge for me. But I think it was a pivotal moment, not just for me, but a lot of people that night. A lot of relationships got formed, and a lot of
Yeah.
relationships got done. And you're
Yeah.
right, Mike. There were probably a lot of people that weren't there for me and follow. They were just there to get a free rave, get a couple of numbers, get mash up. You know what I mean? So this is a great segue into another point, and I'm very intrigued to see what you guys feel in the sense of when it comes to race and ethnicity of friends, because obviously my brethren, my ex brethren is not the same ethnicity as me. The man them that you
Oh,
think are not the same ethnicity as you. There's a stat
yeah.
here from the States that says a majority of US adults say most of their close friends share their race or ethnicity. And I don't know about you lot, but I feel for me as I've got older, I do think my friends that are not black, that circle has definitely got smaller. I don't know, is it in the
Yeah.
same as well?
That
I,
is a
I
big,
totally agree with
that's
that.
a big
It's so true, though. It's so
boy.
true. I had a conversation with someone about 6 months ago. That's so true. I've noticed, like, obviously, we grew up in like a mixed area, like Northwest, innit? So Asians and blacks used to mix, like we were just like brothers and like basically brothers, and it's just everyone
that's a
kind of
couple in
yeah,
AJ.
yeah. Like
So good
I've just found as we've
Be
got
mad,
older, people have
John.
gone back to their own like culture kind of thing. So all that Asian brethren that used to kind of, I'm not saying we're not brethren anymore, but they more move with their Asian brethren, and then I've become closer to my black mates in it more than I. Obviously, there's an exception of a couple of people and stuff like that, but mainly, you know what I'm talking about, yeah.
yeah.
Mainly my black brethren kind of thing. Wonder why. Is it just because that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around?
As we get older, and as men, like the things you face and the challenges you face,
Yeah.
they're a lot. Just want to, I guess, be in with kinfolk that you know you can talk to and they just get it. Like there are some
Yeah.
words that don't even be spoken and they get it. And then when you talk about it, the connection is like, "Bro, you too," and that just
Yeah.
naturally brings people together. So that's what I think
Yeah.
as a community would just that stat doesn't surprise me. When you
Mm.
go through trials and tribulations that are similar to your kinfolk, that's going to bring you
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But do you
Mm.
think there's also like social economical reasons why we're not friends with a lot of people that are not the same race of ethnicity as us, in the sense of like maybe because they've got access to certain resources and certain things, their
I think
life
so as well.
in a certain way compared to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think,
RWC.
yeah. I don't know what you guys talk about. All my friends are white. Oh, joking.
Yep.
No, I think that it's tribalism. You know,
Okay.
there's nothing wrong in it, in my opinion. It's just something that is very natural
Yeah.
that you gravitate to the culture that you're, familiar with. And that doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you actively try to exclude people,
Nah, not at all.
you
Yeah.
know, because,
It's just what
and
happened.
do you know what I mean? And I don't think socioeconomically, it plays a part, but you could go and play golf with colleagues from work or whatever if you wanted to. There's nothing stopping you. Do you know what I mean? That isn't a barrier like it once was. Yeah, I just think I noticed that, especially because obviously, as you said, TVWE grew up in Northwest, and that was a very, very, looking back in it, that was very kind of mixed. At the time, it was white majority, then black and Asian.
Yeah.
But there's a sprinkling of a few other races in there.
Yeah.
But as we got older, one thing I really vividly remembered was that, as we went into college, you did see the groups become more white. That group became more black.
Yeah.
That group became more Asian as you
Yeah.
matured and understood the world a bit more. And that artificial environment of school was removed, and you had to start to really
Yeah.
deal with reality.
It's
And I
funny you
think
say that, RW, because I remember being at college and I felt Bruno was quite a segregated uni, like in the sense of black people stuck with black people, Asian people stuck with Asian people, white people stuck with white people. But when I'd go and
Yeah.
check my brethren who were going uni up north, whether it was the mid like Loughborough, Nottingham,
Yeah.
Fernhill Hill, the Montford, everyone was integrated. Everyone, like a man
Mm.
that you might have thought was from the roads was going out on the Thursday night with his white lads to get on the lash. But I didn't really in London, and you're right about us being in Northwest. And I think there's something about being in the part of Northwest that we were, where we
Yeah.
were around other people that didn't look like us. Because let's keep it 100. And I'm going to make a very sweeping generalization, which might bite me on my ass, but it is what it is. I do think if maybe if we were from Northwest, I think we'd be having a different conversation. To be quite honest, I think the
yeah,
fact that us not living in the suburbs of
yeah,
Northwest, we were
you,
privy to that.
you're right. And it was when I got to a certain age, I remember having this conversation with my mum and dad, because it's around about the college days, like I said, flipping me and Millionaire Mike and our great wisdom decided to pick higher education based on the gala that were going there. Looking back at it.
Blindfold. Blindfold. Quick.
And I remember the one as well. And Mike remembers her as well when I saw him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to this college, man. Anyway, youth. But the point I was making was, I remember speaking to my mum and dad, and I asked them. I said, "Why did you pick Harrow? Right? Why did you pick there? Like, why didn't you?" And before I could even finish, I'm just like, "What? What? So we're going to pick what Harden so you can get involved in drugs?"
No, but I
Well,
get it. I get it. I
and
get it.
do you know what?
Let's keep moving in it. Most of the black families in the borough of Harrow when we were coming up, their roots originally from Brent. And then it was kind
Yeah.
of like, if you were a black family from Brent moved up to Harrow, you were doing big things, innit? You were making
Yeah. Yeah.
necessary
But
movements, not just for
it,
yourself, but for
it,
the family as well.
Yeah, but here's the flip, Kilo, right? So now that we all working middle class men, when you look at the choice of place where you want to plant your roots, let's say safe housing, safe community,
Same.
you're not thinking that neighborhoods. Let's keep it 100.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're thinking predominantly middle class neighborhoods, which happen to be predominantly the white neighborhoods or middle class Asian neighborhoods, because there's people there that have shared the same socioeconomic bracket that you live in.
Yeah,
That's
Do you know what
very
it is?
facts.
Bring back
I
in,
Facts.
don't know.
bring back in,
Facts.
bring
Show
back
me the Wakanda in the UK. Where is it? It's facts.
Panda.
The reality is, I would
There's no
do
black people.
exactly.
There's
I would
nothing.
do. I would do exactly what my parents did, even further. Do you see what I mean?
Well,
They're absolutely right. They're absolutely
I
right.
want to go to P and Wayne because you lot live the furthest out of us lot in terms of location wise in the country. Were those no, I'm being serious. Like, were those factors for you in terms of why you've ended up going further up north of the country?
So for me, it's one thing. I think London, unless you've got old money, very hard to live in a place where you can have access to really good schooling, not good outstanding schooling. Because if you've got children, you want the best for your kids.
Yeah.
Just keep it. So I want my kids to go to outstanding school, to live in neighborhoods where they can be free and express themselves, go to a big and just across the road. And in London, to live in those kind of areas, you have to have obscene amounts of money or old money.
Yeah.
So you have to. I felt like yeah, you have to make a choice. What direction do I go in? And my career also is one where I still am studying at the moment. So I had to make a choice between, do I study in London and be a bit poorer while I'm studying, so they affect my family doubly, or do we find another area where actually we can be closer to better school or spaces? So for me, when I'm thinking it logically, it was a no-brainer. I'm going to move.
Okay.
For me, it was I left London originally to go to like Bedford, Milton Keynes, because again, first kid, we was looking in the Kingsbury area,
Yeah, that's
and
that's
it was ridiculous the prices of what we could get. And I guess for what, like what are we getting? Like what Doc said, you want to provide the best you can with
Yeah.
what you have. So I went, and obviously for my job, I was traveling anyway, so it wasn't like a necessity to be in London for me. Now I'm in the Midlands, and I'll be honest, I left Bedford because I didn't like the mindset of the people there. So when I was working there for that gap year of mine, it really got me down. I was like, I don't want my kids to grow up around this negativity or anything like that, which made me feel like the reason why I left London. And Doc's right, like here, I'm surrounded by like decent sized houses, got like professional chef over there, doctor over here, all this kind of stuff. And for me, it's important. Like like I say, I'm about collective growth mindset. So I want my kids to be in that same environment. That's not to say that you can't in London, because we come from London. Obviously, I grew up in North London, so different part to you guys, where some of the things you're exposed to in the Tottenham area and stuff like that is not the best, to say the least. But it's not to say that people haven't been successful from that part of London either. So it was just my choice. For me, I was like, I'd rather struggle with something that I'm happy to come back to, or the kids are safe and happy to come back to. So that's why I chose to leave. But I wanted to touch on something. There's a couple of bits while you guys were talking that I was thinking about. It's about this kind of like growing up and friendships, etc. So RW kind of jumped in my mind. One thing I always remember when I looked at my parents, so obviously I got step parents and I got my parents that I live with. So my stepdad only really ever had like 2 or 3 friends growing up.
Yeah.
That was it. And I would remember him this age that we are now. So for me, I don't know if subconsciously I've always thought to myself, I don't need many friends, because actually I saw the way that like they were with me as his like stepson. They treated me like I was his son. I can't disservice that.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, yeah, that's the kind of relationship I'd want to build if I have like friends in that. I'd want to be a part of their lives, etc. The kids, etc. and all that. My mom didn't really have many friends either.
Yeah.
My real dad on the other side, he's Muslim, lives in East London still. and there's always people in and out of his house. But that's more the culture, I think, from the mosque.
Yeah.
You know, you eat together, you pray together, you grow up together, and all that. And I think our community, whether that's black, mixed race, I don't think we have that same bond. Not really. Like, it's very few and far between. And I don't know if that's because at a young age we let so many people in that by default you have to shed, because you can't
Yeah.
maintain that many relationships growing up as you go through your journey. So then
Yeah.
you're left with the true ones. Like, the way I always look at it is, would I let someone in this house? This is like my current abode. Would I let someone in this house? Would I let my wife cook for them? Would I let them stay under the roof with my kids and all that? Not to say anyone's doing anything dodgy, but that's a different level. Like, I think one of you said it earlier. It's about what we really have. Like, there's no pictures of this house or anything like that. So I don't want that to be shared. But the
Yeah.
people that know me know, and so you have to draw a line and cut it off somewhere anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
And sometimes you make those choices yourself. Like I say, I've got the same phone number. There's just people I just don't call.
Yeah.
Or there's numbers that when my phone updates, or I change my phone and I notice, I don't have this person's number, I just don't ask them for it.
Doc,
So different evolutions happen at different times.
thank you, Doc. Doc, how are we doing for time?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. I wanted to say a point.
Mhm.
I mean, that I was reading him. So, our boy Kanye West is the king of friendships and then the king of friendship breakdown.
Yep.
He has had friendship with Drake, Taylor Swift, Jay-Z, Ray J, JT, Kid Cudi, John Legend, and all of these relationships have broken. You could be thinking, because he's been quite open, I feel, or it's been quite documented that he's had problems with his mental health. And I feel like we all have or have had a friend like Kanye West who it doesn't really seem to have a filter. Probably you know that he's not
100%.
psychologically where he should be.
Yeah.
It got me thinking, what do you do with a friend like that? How do you reconcile the fact he probably needs support and needs bonding, but also is a liability?
The reason I'll jump in on this one. The only reason why is because my friend that's like that, his birthday is like 2 days before my son's birthday. And every year we go through the cycle. Are you coming out to my birthday? And I'm like, I can't, because it's my son's birthday. Every single year. And then we go through but this and that. And don't get me wrong, like, I'll say it publicly, that guy was there for me through some very tough, like, relationship breakups. Like, if I picked up the phone, he was there, no questions. And I'm gutted I can't do that for him, is the honest truth. I'm gutted for it. And I always try and make a compromise, and I say, look, I can come down for this, but it will always be that I can't ditch on my son's birthday, and he just won't get it. And I can't say to him, look, we'll just like schedule it a week before or whatever. So yeah, and it's unfortunate because like this guy's gone completely off the rails. Drugs. He's an Irish guy. Just went completely buck wild, toured Eastern Europe, got into like jails and all this kind of stuff, like come back home with bruises and everything. And we always try to help him, like me and a couple of the other guys from school, because my friendship in school was quite mixed. We were like the rejects. We were like the ethnic rejects. The UN, they called us. And NATO and shit. But they and it's like whenever we always try and look out for him and stuff like that. We take it in turns. That's what we do. Like, we take it in turns to just like check in on him, see how he's doing. We always get abused and we always get told like all the things, but you just suck it in because that individual, when he's in his right mind, he'll do anything for you. And so it sounds like charity, but it's not. It's just the right thing to do.
Yeah. I think I'm similar to Pete. I had a friend like that, totally maverick. He'd be up one day, down the next, and you just got to accept them for who they are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they're going through I'm a good listener. I can listen to you and stuff like that. So when it's his time to link up, I just listen to him and try and just advise him on the best I can in it, kind of thing. But just let him know that I'm always there for him, kind of thing. But you get me, on a day-to-day basis, it's a lot. It's a lot. basically. So yeah,
I-
I think just just listening to the person.
There's something about keeping it at arm's length. And I know that sounds so
Yeah,
dread, but as you know, we've all got our lives to live, and we're going through certain things. And you're right, there's a
yeah,
certain point where there's so much you can take in that sort of behavior. And you're right, if they're not
yeah,
in the right frame of mind, they're probably not going to be able to sort of take accountability. But I don't know, man, as P was saying, is that somebody you want to have in your life on a regular? Like they know where you live, two twos. You're getting a knock at 3 o'clock in the morning. That man's messed up, and he's like thinking, "Raw, your house is my safe refuge." And then your wife's looking at you
nah,
like, "You really know this guy?" Like, but no, it happens. It happens. It
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
So arms length for me. Arms length for
yeah,
me, man.
Uh,
Um,
also, Keo, I want to touch on something that we briefly touched on, and
mhm,
the evolution of choosing where we live, etc. But also the change in friendships based on racial persuasions, etc. Now, as you lot know, I grew up in France, so I've always been a minority, and there was very few black people for me to, especially where I grew up. Not anymore. Obviously, France is full of blacks, as you can
France
tell
is like
by the
now, man.
national team.
Yeah.
France is very black. But when I grew up, those blacks didn't exist, man. They were somewhere else. So I've always had friends from different walks of life, from different ethnicities, always from the very beginning. So I was very used to it, and I took some of that experience when I came here to the UK. But now, as I got older, you know, my reflections, sometimes my concern, whether it's founded or unfounded, I want to kind of use it as a topic to discuss and to share amongst you. But I became very wary whether or not there was a superiority complex in my friends that were not black, in the sense that, did they felt they were better than me on a purely based on the color of their skin or the ethnicity they represented? Because it's all different from what you hear about interracial relationship, for instance, where there are breakdowns, and the woman lays out the N-word to a partner if he's black for whatever reason, or use racial slurs to demean him almost. And I was always concerned that some of the relationships I had that broke down, did my ethnicity has any did it play any part? Was it easier for them to let me go because of who I was, and because of where I came from? You know what I mean?
yeah,
I've never really had this issue, from as far as I was concerned. I just saw them as them, whoever they were, whatever name
yeah,
that person was carrying, whatever group he came from. I couldn't give two monkeys about it. But when you've been burned by people that are not your people, so to speak, you kind of tell yourself,
yeah,
like, did you was it easier for you to lock me off? Because in your eyes, I'm just another black you anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
people warned me, about black people, and they warned me about, being your brethren. So it kind of works out. That experiment. Thank you, and I off I go somewhere else. I don't know if any of
yeah,
you lot felt that way, or have felt in such a way where for you it's a lot easier to have a relationship with a black person, because at least if my man's acting like a dickhead, he's a dickhead. He's a dickhead, not because he's he's a
yeah,
black bastard, or he's an Asian bastard, or he's a white bastard, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Purely based on the substance of the character and my
I'm gonna
race into it.
I'm gonna flip it. What I've seen for myself is where I've been in a friendship group where maybe there's two black people and one's vying to be the only black in the village,
yeah,
and then it goes back to that whole thing of not all skin folk are kinfolk. And I've
yeah,
been rocked in that situation before where it's just kind of like, all right, bruv, like if you want to be the only black in the village, do it, man. But don't do it where it's detrimental to me, innit? Just keep it 100 with me. So I think there's something in that, in the sense of like, I don't think there's a need to compete in that regard there. But if you're feeling that way, where you might feel there's a superiority complex, you might do certain backhanded things to sort of get the upper hand. And at this stage of my life, I'm not on that. I'm not on that.
yeah. No, I get
I
where you're
think
coming
I think there's a thing that when you come out, like, because um, where I am now, you can see like certain mans are trying a bit too hard to like blend in, and like I guess like there's this one dude, yeah. I don't even speak to the man, bro. Like it's a white dude. I don't even speak to him. And Reeman's always like, oh, you need to like. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. He's just not my vibe. But all the other ethnics, like, there's this dude, yeah. I can't say the name in it, but he lives a couple of doors down here. He's got a hairstyle like mine, and he's a bit darker complexion than me. And he's there like on the WhatsApp groups and everything. And bro, like Rima shows me the WhatsApp group. I'm like, what's he doing, bro? Like, come on, you're not that, bro. Stop it. Stop
Or
it.
I've had that as well, where like someone's introduced me as the only black guy, and then they're talking about, yeah, do you know, I've got a criminal record. I've done this, I've done that. It's like, bro, why are you telling me this for? Like, and they're trying to act like they're bad. Or I've been stabbed, I've been chased, it's like, why are you trying to act like we're bad or something like that?
Sorry, Terry, I didn't mean it, man. Sorry.
The first time I met you, mate.
MySpace, Terry. I was there first. But
Yeah, man, no, but I've had that a lot, man. I was just like, okay, that's all black people are not on that kind of thing. Just like, chill out, man.
So that being said, I think a good way to end this, I just want to go around the room and just get like people like, if there's one thing they took from our convo today, what would that be? So I might start with you if that's all right.
Yeah, of course. I mean, one of the main thing I can take from this discussion and personal experience is that, learning to forgive, understanding that, friendship will come with its ups and downs, and if it's worth keeping those people in your life, and they reach out, they give you the olive branch. I think it's important to accept genuine, when somebody's genuinely sorry or genuinely upset at the fact that, the friendship might have taken a turn for the worse, but they're willing to start again. I think it's important to have that humility in that and certainly reflect on those years of friendship and as whether or not they're important to preserve and they're important and use them as a foundation to build something even more stronger. And for those relationships that have failed, myself included, I've forgiven wrongdoers that were done against me. I don't think it's, as a human being and as an individual, I encourage everybody to kind of, let bygones be bygones and move forward, because ultimately, at the end of the day, any anger, any hatred you have against an individual only ends up consuming you, and you end up really hurting the people around you that care about you. So, but the most important thing as well is that, choose your friend like you choose a girl. And if you choose a girl that that you want to be loyal to, that's not going to be cheating on you, doing all kind of stuff, you're going to have to understand the traits that you want in people in your life to be. And these are the traits, some of those traits, I would say: loyalty, honesty, even when it's difficult to hear it, people that are really, really rooting for you. And that's all I can take from, from this conversation. And it's what I would encourage anyone to consider if they want to maintain a friendship or consider entering into a friendship with anybody.
Yeah.
Last one.
I think what taking away is friendship is such a nuanced thing. I believe there's a lot of strength in old friends that bring, especially you get wisdom to make new friends. I think a lot comes down to you trying to put yourself as an individual in the best place you can put yourself in. When you're in that place, you'll be able to discover who around you is actually your true friend. Because when you're living your life in the right direction, in positivity, the things you do, your movements, your energy will immediately irritate the people who aren't on your vibe, in your self-eject. I think that's one of the first things to make sure you get your life in order. I think really what you guys are saying, forgiveness is a big, big thing because we're all human at the end of the day. I think if someone can show the humility to come and say, yo, in that moment, I was a bit wrong, and this is deeper than that. Friendship is deeper than that. And I think it's really important to give chances. I do think that it's really important also to have a circle. When you choose friends, you got to choose them really wisely, and to have your circle of friends who have the traits, the skills, the abilities that enrich you. Honesty, humility, banter, all of those things that really will allow you to be enriched. That man can just tell you, bro, you know what? You're thinking, bro, you need to change your toothpaste. Someone could be real with you.
Yeah, no, I can't. Change your barber, one of them ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in 2024 everything is very transactional now. Everything is transactional, and we've had to adopt that as a lifestyle anyway. So I think for me, older friendships, I have very few that date back, and I'm comfortable with that as an individual. And I think I've always focused on myself, to be honest. And I've always said to Rima that when you end up with kids and whatever, for me the priority is always the four people in the four walls first, come what may. So as long as the people around me understand that, like there's a few times me and Terry, I'll be open, me and Terry have had some conversations over the last couple of years, and with the kid being unwell and stuff, and he's always said to me, you know, family first, family first. And there's not a lot of people that do that when they depend on you and stuff like that. So for me, people that I let into my circle now, first of all, I have to understand I'm a father.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, and that any commitments or anything from me is then a second to that, and
Yeah.
that's what I would reciprocate back as well in terms of what friends and family are. And I think we lose that sometimes in what is maintenance of friendships. I think the other thing is that I don't necessarily go out my way looking for friendships or anything like that. I'm quite a free flowing, easygoing person. Like I say, I get on with anyone, talk to anyone. Someone can tell me to fuck off. That's not a problem either. That's cool. That's on you. So, yeah, for me, I think it's put in what you're able to put in to a friendship, and then it's what this reciprocation is after that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Drive.
Yeah, I think for me, two things for the friendship: communication, understanding. Get me? Communicate with them, let them know when they're going through things. Maybe they'll be there to help you and stuff like that. And understanding as well. Not everyone's going to have time to jump on the phone or to come out every minute. It's just understanding everyone's circumstances are different. You get me? And I think for me, my old friends, people I've had long-term like friendships with, I really value those friendships and stuff like that. So, and I understand like friendship might have a season in it. I think Doc touched on it, and I think was it Millionaire Mike, where it was you, Mr. Blake, where you could need a friend for a period of time or something like that, and that kind of expires. And I think before I found it quite hard to understand that concept, but it's not that they're a bad person or you're a bad person. It's just a friendship has like gone as far as it could, kind of thing. Just understanding that kind of helps, and also the line between friend and associate. And that's something in the last few years that I've kind of really understand the concept of. But yeah, I think it's just about keeping it real, man. And you know what I mean? You know who your real friends are. Like, end of the day, you can go a month, 6 months, and man not going to be like, oh, so I didn't speak to me, blah, 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 and start like giving you attitude or trying to block you or something like that. That's not a friend, basically. You get me? So it's just about understanding like the parameters of that and just working with that, man.
Drive. RW.
Yeah, a lot of things kind of been some really good points I think were made this evening. Two main things for me. We kind of touched on it briefly, but it was about, we're all busy and we don't really have that much time. And the time that we do spend is, really precious. And we mentioned like bants and things like that. And one thing we kind of didn't really talk about is, for example, the way a WhatsApp group can just carry you through. It can carry you through a day,
But
Because the thing is, like, I'll be honest, there's some days I'm up against it, right? Whatever I'm doing, I'm up against it. And then I'll look at the WhatsApp group and I'll just be, do you know what I mean? I'll just be belly laughing. And just those few seconds of light, and it can just get you through. And that is, I think, one of the great things of real friendship. It carries you through, dark times, tough times. And it's one of the few things, especially that we have as now adult men, because, especially if you've got kids in the family, everything you do is so sacrificial, and takes up so much time. but there in that friendship, that is something that's there, that is there for you. You know, I really value that. And just really briefly, you know, I just want to, I wasn't able to respond to, you know, quality that I've always admired about Mike, which is his honesty and his openness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mike is the most flamboyant person I know. I wish I
Boy,
could get
thank
away.
you.
Do you know what I mean? I wish I could get away with wearing some of the things that he wears. Do you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
I'm naturally introverted, and I have to push myself to be more open. But Mike can just walk into a room and just command it and just be himself, and everyone just gravitates towards him. You know. No, but I really, it takes a big man to be so honest, and to be honest on a one-to-one level, but to be so honest on a public stage. And that's volumes. That speaks volumes about your character and your humility and how genuine you are.
Respect.
1000% respect and value that totally.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, love.
Thank you very much. I think for me, I think what I've taken from it is, that whole image of, certain people are acquaintances, some people are associates, some people are friends. I think there's also that friends for a season, friends for a reason, friends for a lifetime is real, and you seem to realize it when certain situations happen in life, and as you get older as well. I think one thing we didn't touch upon is when strangers come through for you more than your brethren, and
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot. And I'm gonna do a shameless plug here. Get my book, Multifaceted. It's my first poetry collection available on Amazon. But I say that to
Awesome.
say that there are certain people at work, we're not brethren, we're colleagues, they're strangers to me, but they've been promoting my book through different channels. And there's certain so-called brethren that ain't done that for me. Again, I think that's something that has made me look at certain people like, are you really, for me or my family and stuff like that? But I think one
Yeah.
thing that I want to kind of end with is with friendships. Sometimes we forget that it doesn't take nothing to be kind. And I think that's a contributing factor why certain friendships do break down. We just lost that kindness. We've lost that camaraderie. We've lost that respect for one another. I mean, yes, we are all different and we're all going
Mm.
through it at certain times. And as you said, sometimes it is hard to open up. It's hard to be vulnerable. But if you've got that, you've got to cherish it, man. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
that's what I've taken from that. And I think also as well, I appreciate all of you, even with the birthday messages that I got from you all. Like, considering, some of you on a grand scale, some of you only in the last year. But the fact that you took the time out to like big me up on my birthday, and a lot of the messages were very personal, very intimate, means a lot to me. So thank you for that. So with that being said, that was the short back and side shape up show. We hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, subscribe, share with your friends, and we look forward to seeing you again. Peace.
Peace.